Welcome back to normal baseball, and today we're back with another team projection, another will be as we like to call it, and we got the Colorado Rockies. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Normal Baseball. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. And today we're back with another Will Be in our Will Be series. Today we got the Colorado Rockies, a team who did not do very well last year at all. In fact, they only won 74 games, which was surprisingly actually more than they were thought to going to win. And yeah, the Rockies, they made some additions this offseason.
They made some losses.
They did have some losses too. But we're here to talk about that. Let's talk about a big addition first. Let's just head right into it, honestly. Chris Bryant.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Randall Grichuk.
No. 7 years, $182 million.
What a contract.
Random. I know Rockies fans are probably happy because they have a player to cheer for, but it's basically a Trevor Story 2.0 kind of situation.
Well, it'll be interesting. That contract that Bryant signed is really not for the Rockies. Probably next season during the first half, we'll see him get traded. It'll be like a Nolan Arenado situation.
No trade. No trade. There's a no trade clause in the contract, so.
Yeah, he could waive it.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will. I think he chose the Rockies for a reason. He's already won his ring. He was from Las Vegas, so he's closer to home.
Cheering for the Rockies.
There was a reason that he signed for the Rockies, and it was all personal reasons. So I don't think he's going to waive that no trade, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, Chris Bryant, phenomenal player still. We saw him contribute on both the Cubs and the Giants last year. Was a really interesting player, to say the least. Like you said, he already has his range, so there's no real motivation for him. I guess he's more of a one and done guy. He just wants to collect his money now. Good on you, Mr. Bryant. Congratulations on what has been a great career so far, and maybe he's going to be part of something again in those 7 years in Colorado. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing if in those 7 years they do build a nice team around him,
Imagine. Wow. With Chris Bryant as a centerpiece, that would be interesting.
Because what was that conversation like to get him there? I get that it was for personal reasons, because obviously it was. But do you think you also said, hey, in the next 7 years we might actually have a nice team around you?
Yeah, I think that there was, I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that conversation. But if I had to guess, there was probably some sort of exchange of, Chris Bryant saying, hey, look, I'll include this no-trade clause and I'll sign here. But you have to tell me that, obviously, this year is not our year. The Dodgers are going to be the Dodgers and everything.
Well, no. There's no way he signed that contract thinking... That's not... That was... No way that was ever a conversation.
No, but I think that there was a conversation of, I get that we're not going to compete this year, but in the coming years in the free agent market and the offseason and stuff, at least try to put in an effort. If there's a guy or two that it might seem good to have in Colorado, why not go get him? This year I'm shocked. I really, towards the end of free agency, basically, obviously Michael Conforto's still out there, but I really thought that they were going to try to snag up one of Kyle Schwarber or Nick Castellanos, or at least throw them an offer. They didn't, but I really thought that they would have, just to, that we know Coors Field is a hitter's park. It would not have shocked me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they were really focused on a win now or in the next year or two kind of mode. I think they're going to kind of just let it see how it goes.
Have time. They have plenty of time.
Obviously, they lost Trevor Story to the Red Sox, and they offered Story more money than the Red Sox, but Story didn't want to go because Story wanted to be in a winning culture. And although the Rockies have made it to the playoffs in the past couple of years, there was never really a winning culture in Denver. So
Seems like the owners of the Rockies have been more about making their paycheck rather than about making the fans happy and something to cheer for. In the recent, they got lucky with Arenado and Story and having some guys, but they're not gonna. Right now, it does not look like they're gonna go back to that form or to when they won the entire National League.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's more of that. I just think it's more of poorly ran. Like I just don't think the front office really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, which is sad because Colorado, I mean, really interesting city, and we've seen it with the Broncos of in football. Like they love to cheer for their guys. The Denver Nuggets, like Colorado just cannot get enough of some of these teams, and then it's like the Rockies who just kind of linger around when they could have a very very big fan base.
They could, if they were good. But like we said, I don't think they have a tiny fan base, but it's certainly not one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, and I mean they're one of the what I would consider smaller market teams that
Well,
if
they
you
are.
told me that they were selling out one like games 3 or 4 times a month, I would believe you. Like they just seem like that type of team where like they can be exciting, and they were at one point, and I would love to see them get back there.
Me too. That stadium sold out is great. I mean, we saw it in the home run derby and the All Star game. It was
Oh yeah,
phenomenal.
beautiful.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. They they have some mashers in the lineup, so if you're going to the stadium as a fan, you gotta watch for some fly balls, gotta watch for some homers. I mean their lineup: Charlie Blackmon, who's been there for his entire career, feels like.
Yeah,
I think it is his entire career. Chris Bryant, obviously new Rocky.
competition.
Ryan McMahon, who they extended
Ooh,
for 6 years, huge extension. C.J. Crone, Brendan
another Macker.
Rodgers, yeah. Randall Grichuk, who they traded for. We'll talk about that. Jose Iglesias and Elias Diaz. So they have some. Garrett Hampson's also on the bench too. Connor Joe. They have a lot of players, to say the very least.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. Will be interesting.
Yeah. And then that Ryan McMahon extension, that again shows you kind of like that they are thinking that in the next 5, 6, 7 years, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that they will have a winning team. Signing him to that 6 year extension kind of lines up with Bryant. Bryant's a 7 year.
Yeah, I
Well,
like the extension.
Bryant would be 7. They'd
Yeah,
end at the same time. So
I mean I like the extension because one, it guarantees Ryan McMahon money, which is great. I mean I think he's a phenomenal ball player, and Coors just suits him well. And I think, like you said, it is sort of them kind of turning on all the lights before they clear themselves for takeoff. Really,
right,
like they want to try to compete in probably Chris Bryant's time frame. Everybody else will be structured around that. So come next offseason, I think that we'll see people signing with the Rockies for 6 years, not 7 years. They're going to try to fit it all into Chris Bryant's years, and it's nice to see that Ryan McMahon is part of that plan because he gives off that Colorado Rocky vibe.
yeah. I don't know if we'll see any 6 year, 7 year deals from the Rockies. That's a lot of commitment for money with big contracts like that. But I do think this is going to be centered around Bryant. I mean, he's 30 years old, so he'll be on the team till he's 37, which is a long time.
With how athletic Chris Bryant is, do we think it's his last contract?
Yes.
Really?
I think it's his last over 1 year contract.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair
I,
enough.
I don't
I would say that he's going to get a 2 year from the Cubs.
mm, I don't know. It's weird
We'll
because
find out.
like at the end of this tenure, if he stays with the Rockies this entire time, he'll have been with them for the same amount of years as the Cubs. Which,
That's weird to think about.
yeah, think of how many memories he's made with the Cubs. The Rockies are going to be right up there if he stays there.
Well, I can tell you right now, put it on the books that Chris Bryant will have like like a Rockies core memory, like a walk-off home run or something this year in Coors Field, where that stadium, I've heard that it gets really loud, even though they don't have that many fans there all the time. I think that'll be like one of his earliest core memories. You can book that down.
Sorry, we're recording pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And then speaking of home runs, I mean, you said like in Coors Field, home runs in Coors Field, that kind of lines up. The Coors effect is a big thing. Do you think he'll have over or under 32 and a half homers? He had
Over.
20. He had 25 last year, I believe.
Over, and I'm only gonna say over is because I was a really big fan of the Cubs and whatever teams those core three guys went to, because I just like to watch them all play baseball. And in um is it AT&T or Oracle Park now for the Giants? Whatever, it's one of those two.
Some whatever they call it now.
Yeah, but I mean, I watched a few of their games, and whenever Chris Bryant got up, there would be times where he hits those fly balls into left field or so, where in Coors, I mean, with the higher altitude, those balls get out. I mean, he was hitting a lot of them out there, especially with the short wall. I think we're going to see him just mash. Maybe he's chasing Barry Bonds. We don't know. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, chasing Barry Bonds with his. He's currently 30 years old and he has 167 homers. He'll make it.
He could. There's a chance.
Yeah, in the next 7 years, he'll get 550 home runs.
You never know in baseball.
I know. I'll guarantee it right now. I'll bet money on that.
You're going to feel really stupid when I'm right and you're wrong. You ever heard of the Coors effect?
We spent this entire episode talking about Chris Bryant. Let's get to their pitching. Their pitching isn't good. Sorry, just to say that kind of bluntly. Herman Marquez, Kyle Freeland, Antonio Sensatella, Austin Gomber, and Chad Cole is their starting rotation. I mean, okay, Herman Marquez is kind of the big guy there. He's been in trade rumors for the past, I don't even know how many years. Do you think this is the year he gets traded?
No, I don't think so.
I also don't think so.
Sad to say, because Herman Marquez could be a solid 3 guy on a competitive like championship level team. He really could be, but I think the Rockies just want to hold on to him for as long as they can because he's a good pitcher. Why not hold on to him when you have him on such a friendly deal?
Yeah, I mean, they currently have him till 24, so they're going to hold that possession until they can't. It wouldn't make sense not to.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we'll see him get traded right before his contract runs up, basically.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest kind of L for the offseason was, besides not landing Trevor Story, was probably not offering a qualifying offer to John Gray. They knew he was leaving.
Yeah, strange move out of the Rockies. I mean, I don't get why they didn't offer him that. At first, I thought that they could only offer one qualifying offer per team, but when I found out that that's not true, there was no reason as to why they did not offer the qualifying offer to John Gray. I mean, if anything, he deserved it out there in Colorado.
Yeah, no, he did, because knowing that he was gonna leave. Why? Like, I'm just trying to think of the thing of why.
Did they think maybe when he hit free agency they could convince him to resign for longer years?
There's no way.
Because what was his contract with the Rangers?
4 years, $56 million.
You know, I bet you the Rockies probably offered him like a 2-year, like $25 million.
Maybe.
Super undershot, because I feel like a pitcher like that, like a John Gray, who's considered a good pitcher, but also pitches in Coors, he needs to go out and prove himself more, you know? Not to say that he's not a great pitcher, but he needs to show that he can do it.
I'm certainly looking forward to him going and proving himself, because if he can, it'll show maybe the Coors effect is a real thing, even for pitchers.
Oh, of course it's a real thing for pitchers. I mean, it hurts pitchers more than anything else. I mean, some of the batters in the NL East NL West are looking forward to going out there, to sneak a couple balls over the wall that they wouldn't be able to in their home stadiums.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can imagine that any of those Giants players are especially happy. I mean, it's not easy to hit one into the cove or anything, especially with the wind coming in most of the time.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Um, and like we were talking about pitchers and obviously the course effect and everything, which makes their pitching all that more important. And they added Alex Colomé, not great. I mean, he wasn't terrible in the past couple of years, but he wasn't great towards the end of last year, if I do remember correct. And then the rest of their bullpen's not great. I mean, Daniel Bard, Carlos Estevan, Robert Stevenson, Julio Chacin. It's just not great.
Yeah, but
So
I mean,
that's.
the
I mean, I'm
Rockies
not.
are in rebuild.
I'm not expecting much from them, and I don't think even they are, which is fine. It's fine.
But of course, don't get me wrong. If a couple of those starting pitchers went out and had really good seasons somehow and got a deal elsewhere, good for them. I mean, Colorado is the place. I feel like you get a little bit of leeway with Colorado. Like if somebody who usually has a 4 ERA in Colorado is different than someone who has a 4 ERA outside Colorado,
Right.
Especially if I don't know too much about any of the pitchers on the Colorado Rockies roster, but if they're pitch to contact guys, forget about it. You gotta go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that ball, it flies. We saw it in the home run derby. We saw it in the All-Star game. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit a moonshot, man.
That's what he does. That's what he's good at. I have an interesting over-under here that involves
Let's hear it.
the guy who was just signed, Ryan McMahon. Will he be over or under?
Mm. What are we thinking?
A 775 OPS. Last year it was 779. His career is 755.
I'm going to say under. I think the high of just signing the contract extension is going to get the best of him.
Okay, I'm going.
I think it's going to be barely.
I'm going over because I think he is gonna do what he. I don't really have a full reason. I mean, it's just I think he's gonna do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that. If you had to guess over, how high over?
I think not much above 800.
Good guess. That would be a very successful season for Ryan McMahon.
Yeah, I mean they just signed him to a 6-year extension. Like you said, maybe you said maybe some weight will be taken off his shoulders, or maybe he thinks he wants to perform. I mean the guy just signed a 6-year extension. Let's not make the Rockies fans think it was for nothing.
Yeah, I feel like I've never met or even heard any interviews from Ryan McMahon. I would love to think that he's a good person. Feel free. My DMs are always open, Mr. McMahon. I would love to have a chat with you. But let's just hope that he's a good person and a nice guy, and he's looking to really just put on a show for the fans, and he's not just worried about making his payday.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's the case because us, we like entertaining baseball where players are playing their hearts out. Yeah. And yeah, let's start to round it down here. I mean, we went over most of it. It's the Rockies, not expecting much. Over or under 67.5 wins?
Under.
Under. I also have the under. I think they're going to be atrocious this year. And
it's sad to say.
Yeah, I mean, they got Brian and everything, but that pitching isn't good. And playing a course field half your games, it's not going to help with that.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again in all of baseball history. You can have all the bats you want, but pitching wins championships.
Correct. And then one final one here. Team MVP. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right, I'm actually going to pick Chris Bryant. I mean, the cookie cutter kind of answer, but just sign a 7-year deal with them. Let's go out and have a great season for these fans of this team to be like, maybe it's not so bad that we just signed a guy for the 7 years. Let's get 7 good years out of you, and start it with a bang.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit and also go Chris Bryant.
That's the opposite of switching it up.
Yeah, I think I mean I agree with everything that you said. I think that he's just going to play. I think that I feel like the clubhouse vibe with like Charlie Blackmon there and Chris Bryant. I feel like that vibe is just going to be like an interesting one, like what I would do to be a fly on the wall at opening day when they're all getting ready, and like
Right.
the younger guys are going to want to party, and then you got like Charlie Blackmon and Chris Bryant who are like there to do business basically,
Right.
kind of in their own little realm.
Yeah. Um. One thing we didn't talk about. I was just thinking about it, but Randall Grichuk. It's not much for the Rockies because they're just getting rid of an outfielder, just to get another one. It's more of a trade for the Blue Jays, but just if you didn't know, Randall Grichuk got traded for.
We'll talk about that
Ramiel,
trade more
Ramiel
when we
Tapia.
cover the Blue Jays.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that should do it. That was the Colorado Rockies. They're having a good time. Coors Field, Denver. In 2022, the Colorado Rockies will be in what?
Fifth.
Fifth place. You heard it here first. And yeah, that should do it. This has been a great projection and prediction episode. If you liked it, make sure to like it. Remember, we don't know your team as much as you do.
Anything that we're missing, leave in the comments.
Comment, like, share, do your thing. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. All right. Peace.